My dear P4 children, I would like to remind you my name because some of you might have forgotten me. I remain Mr. Monica John for Science P4. Now, last time as we were discussing, we discussed something about garden tools and the ways of keeping them or maintaining, the ways of protecting them. Okay? Therefore, what am I saying? Today our lesson is going to be crop diseases. But before I go to crop diseases, allow me to go through the work that I left with you. And which work was that? The first one was name any 4 garden tools that you know. I have given you 2, but you know many. One is a rake, gardening fork, can talk about a panga, a slasher, a watering can, and many others that you know. And then they said identify the garden tool used for transplanting seedlings. And what is that? That's a trowel. If you wrote trowel, put a tick in pencil and check the spelling because some people write towel. If I get you writing towel, I'll put a cross. T-R-O-W-E-L, that's a trowel. Draw and name a garden tool used for harvesting root crops. Which garden tool is used for harvesting root crops? That garden tool is none other than a hoe. Some people call it a hand hoe, but all of them are correct. Okay, then that is a hoe. In that, if you drew that one, again put a tick. You will find somebody who drew a panga instead of a hoe. Because root crops, their food they store in the roots. So if you use a panga, can you really harvest them? You can't. 2, the number 4 of the activity that I left with you, give anyone way of caring for for garden tools. Give anyone way of caring for garden tools. I gave you very many ways. Like 1, by painting them to prevent rusting. Another one is by cleaning them to you clean them after use. Like now if you have used a hoe, why should you leave the soil on it? That soil might attract the moisture and oxygen that can lead to rusting. Okay? Why should garden tools be kept in a dry, cool place? In a dry, cool place? And the answer will be to prevent rusting. To prevent rusting. My dear children, let's go to the next lesson. And what is that? We shall be looking at crop diseases, and what do I expect from you? 1, you will be able to mention the some crop diseases. 3, you will give the signs of diseases in the crops. 4, you are going to state the ways of controlling some crop diseases. And some of the diseases that we have that affect crops, we have what we call bacterial blight. Bacterial blight can affect cassava, it can affect sweet potatoes and many other crops. Then another one is Panama disease. Panama disease affects bananas. Then another one is cigar end rot. It affects many crops, but commonly it affects the bananas. And we have cassava mosaic. This is so bad. When it affects the cassava and it affects the roots, when you are peeling the cassava, you will find when cassava has some maggots inside and the dark in the color, brownish. And when you cook such a cassava, 1, it will taste bitter. 2, it will not get ready but now when it is spoiled, why should you cook it? So it's a bad disease. 2, when the crop has When the crop has got cassava mosaic, you'll find that the leaves of our cassava are going to fold themselves and they will be yellowish. And the other one is leaf rust. And then the coffee berry disease, which affects coffee. So when you are looking at that, as you look at that, you will go outside there and go and ask other diseases that affect crops. Now, what spreads these crops? One, pests and diseases. The pests are the ones that spread some of these diseases. Like when we have pests like white flies, they like moving and getting nectar from one crop to another. So as they get the nectar from the other crop, they will carry the germs and take to another healthy plant. And soon, that plant can also get the disease. And then too, some people, when they are planting, they plant the materials that are already sick. The materials that are already sick. So what does that one show? And what does that one lead to? It can lead to diseases. Like when we are planting cassava, when we are propagating cassava, we use a stem cutting. Now, if you get a stem cutting of already infected crop, that crop that you are planting is already sick. So it will grow up when it is already infected. So we have to look for clean planting materials before planting, healthy ones. Now let's look at the signs of crop diseases. One is that there is poor quality seeds. When a crop is infected with a disease, the seeds are going to be poor. They will be small, they will have corners, they will have holes. Therefore, you will produce poor quality what? Seeds. The seeds will be of poor quality. Another sign, when you want to see that the crops are affected, the leaves turn into yellowish color. The leaves become yellowish. And then some plants can end up drying when they are affected by a disease. And another one, the fruits can also be affected. You find a fruit which you peel it, like you cut it, you find inside black, rotten. So those are some of the signs you can look at and then know that this crop has a disease. And so, what are the signs? I repeat with you, follow me up. One, poor quality of the seeds. Leaves turn into yellowish color. Some plants can dry up, and it also we have affected fruits. The fruits become affected. And let's look at those ones. Poor quality seeds. The seeds are going to look like that, of poor quality, small in size. You see, you will not even like them. You look at them and say, I'm not buying that. They're already having a disease. Two, the crops, when a disease has affected a crop, it can dry. You can see these crops are drying, maybe because of a disease. Then another one, the leaves will turn yellowish. If you see your bananas turning, the leaves are, most of the leaves are becoming yellow, know that they are sick. Okay? And the ways of controlling these diseases, one is removing diseased crops. The moment you see that the garden has got some crops that are infected with a disease, what you do, uproot it, cut it into, you can even let it be dry and then you burn it, uproot and burn it. Another one is early weeding. The moment you see that you have planted, try to weed as early as possible. Why? Because when you leave the weeds to grow up with the crops, the pests are going to hide inside the weeds. And when they hide inside the weeds, what will happen? They told you that pests will spread the diseases. So the pests will spread the diseases to your what? Crops. And some of them, we have some weeds that share diseases with the crops. So there are some weeds that have the same disease like those of the crops. Therefore, your crops are going to do what? To be affected or infected with that disease. Okay? Lastly, spraying affected plants with pesticides. Now, why do you spray with pesticides? To kill the pests that spread them. And another one is spread the crops with fungicides. Fungicides. Most of the plant diseases are caused by fungi. So you spray with fungicides. Then, and that one is, these people are removing diseased crops that have been infected with a disease. Then another one is early weeding. You can weed your crops as early as possible, just like those people are doing. Don't leave the weeds to grow together with the crops. Another one is spray. Spray the crops with pesticides and fungicides. Spelling for fungicides, Fungicides. Fungicides. They are there to kill the what? The crop. This one kills the germs, and the pests and pesticides kill the pests. So this garden tool is called a knapsack sprayer. Knapsack sprayer. It is for spraying crops with chemicals. There are very many chemicals. You can spray crops with pesticides. You can spray crops with fungicides. Okay, even on a cattle farm, they can use it to spray acaricides to kill the ticks. Okay. Follow me up, and we go to another thing that is activity. And you will write that activity very well. And when I come back, we shall go through together. Now there are some people who wait for me to come for the exercise to go through the work. Then they also write, that one is not good. You first write, try to answer. Later, you do what? We go through and you understand more. Okay? Try to test yourself. Don't wait for the teacher. Thank you.